All right, in this video, we're going to talk about translating phrases into one-step and two-step equations, and then looking at different kinds of relationships when we see certain words. So it's very important that we're paying attention to the way a problem is worded, because simply changing the order or a specific word can completely change the problem. So the way we communicate, especially in math, can make a big difference. So we want to make sure that we understand some of the basic words and what they mean. So on your notes page, you should see something like this. And then it's just a cute little organizer. So we're going to put the words that have to do with addition in the addition symbol, subtraction in the subtraction, division, and then multiplication. And I know we don't really use an X for multiplication anymore, but you know, it's kind of one of those things that's been ingrained in us for a very long time to use that X for multiplication. So it's just kind of my placeholder here for multiplication. All right, so some of the really easy ones would be like the words plus or add, addition. So these words, hopefully, we recognize pretty quickly, right? Plus, add, addition, those are telling us very specifically what do I need to do. But we can also use words like sum. This means that we are going to add the next terms that we're being given. So usually we see like the sum of, and then we can hear like A and 4. And so we would say, you know, the sum of A and 4 would be A plus 4, right? So something like that. We also have added to. That's very similar to these other guys that are kind of more common. We can have more than. That can also mean addition. Okay. Or increased by. Increased by. So all of these things, if I hear these words, can mean they're signifying that I need to add something to the together. All right. And then for subtraction, so we can have, you know, subtraction, subtraction, I almost started spelling that funny, or minus. So again, these are the kind of two more common words that just very straightforward tell me what I'm doing. But most of the time what we're going to hear is the word difference. So if I hear the difference of, that again, it's kind of like sum. It means the next terms are going to be subtracted in the sentence. And then less than, it's telling me to take away. Instead of more than, I'm going less than. And then subtracted, that's just like subtraction, so I don't necessarily think we need to put subtraction and subtracted, but I guess I put add and addition over here, so why not? Subtracted, just kind of different tenses of the word there. The other one is this was increased by. This could be decreased by. So again, just words that signify what do I need to be doing. All right, division, there's more limited ones at this point. So we can do divide, not divided, divide, or divided by, like that. So those are, again, those are kind of the common ones. But one of the bigger words that they're going to start using is the word quotient. So again, this is kind of like the words, and I'm even going to circle these ones. So sum, difference, quotient, and we'll have one for multiplication here. These are like the answers to these types of problems. Hopefully that makes sense. So the sum of the solution is after you've added them together. The difference is after you subtracted them. The quotient is the answer after you've divided them. So that's kind of the commonality between those ones. They don't really use too many other words at this time. For these ones, we may come across more as we move forward, but for now, these are the ones that we're going to focus on. And then for multiplication, we have multiply, times. So those are kind of, you know, our two basic words for multiplication, or multiplication, just having those two things. We could also say multiply by, multiplied by. Okay. But a lot of the time what they're going to use is the word product. And again, that's that kind of answer to a multiplication problem. It's the product of the two pieces, or however many pieces we're multiplying. And this is an O, sorry, product. Simply hearing the word of in a sentence means multiplication. That's a big one. So product or of, those are ones that are used a lot. Or sometimes they'll just tell you how many times to multiply by. So twice, that means I'm multiplying by 2. Or triple, that means I'm multiplying by 3. They could say, I don't think I've seen it yet, but they could say quadruple. That would be to multiply by 4. So sometimes those words tell us just, not only are we multiplying, but they're telling us what to multiply by with that one word. All right. So now that we've filled this in, we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the problems there. Darn it, I hate it when that moves over. All right, so we're going to translate some verbal phrases into equations, or sorry, not equations, into expressions. No equal sign, so it's an expression, not an equation. So we're going to look at this first one here, and it's the sum of 4 and y. So we're going to identify that operator because we want to know what are we doing with these numbers. So the sum tells us that we're doing addition. That was one of the categories we just wrote down on that last little graphic. So I know that I'm adding. And what am I adding? The next two numbers here. It's 4 and y. Those are going to be the next two that are the two that we add together for the sum. So we're just going to have 4 plus y. And we just wrote that verbal expression into an algebraic expression. All right, so the very next one here, we have translate this one, this phrase into an algebraic expression. Use the variable g to represent Greg's age. So they're telling us, they're not telling us g in the sentence, but they're telling us what to replace the unknown quantity with. So 14 more than twice Greg's age. So we want to identify what are we doing. So first off, I know 14 is 14. I don't have to worry too much about that. But more than, this tells me that I'm adding again, because that's in our addition section, twice. That word tells me that I'm multiplying, not just multiplying by anything, but specifically multiplying by 2. So just understanding a couple of these words can help me write this expression out. So I have 14 more than 2 times Greg's age. And remember, they told us to use G for Greg's age. And when you type this into Alex, you wouldn't actually use the little dot. You would just smush them together like that. So it would be 14 plus 2G. All right, and then the very last one here. So first we're going to kind of translate it, and then we're actually going to, I believe, are we going to solve it? Nope, we're not going to solve this one because they don't give us the full bit of information to solve. So Martina had $122 to begin with, so we know what she's starting with. She just spent C dollars, so we don't know how much she spent, but we know that she spent money, and hopefully we understand the idea. But if I have money, and here's my money, I know it's blue instead of green, but here's my money. If I have money and I go and I spend my money, I don't have that money anymore. It's gone, right? So that's definitely a subtraction word, right? If I hear the word spent. So we're going to write, or using C, we're going to write an expression for the number of dollars that she has left. So let's identify, think and identify. So what did she start with? She started with $122. And how much did she spend? We don't specifically know, but we know the variable they're using, which is C. And then we just talked about this as spend, an addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division word. Well, it's definitely a subtraction word. If I spend money, then I no longer have that money. It's gone, went to somebody else. So now we're going to write the expression, what she started with and what she spent, 122 minus C. And let's think, does this order matter? Would it matter if I wrote C minus 122? In this case, yes. Because this would tell me that she spent $122. She had C. She started with this and she's spending the 122. So this is a very different equation, this second one. So you want to be very careful when we're talking about subtraction. If it was addition, it actually wouldn't matter. You could switch the order. Multiplication is the same way. But subtraction and division are very picky on the order. So make sure you're paying attention to how you write those. All right, so that was translating some verbal phrases into algebraic expressions and using one real-world situation. I hope that helped, and I will see you on the next video.